Well, hi everyone. This is Jean Hansen, co-founder of thejanitorialstore.com and myhousecleaningbiz.com. Now, some of you may also know that last year Steve and I went through training to become certified to bring the duct tape marketing systems to the cleaning industry. And we're doing that through our website, marketingsystemsbydesign.com. Steve and I are pictured here with the founder of Duct Tape Marketing, John Jantz, who speaks all over the world about small business marketing. He's authored 4 books, the latest of which is coming out actually this month, and that one is called Duct Tape Selling. Now, today's topic is about getting your cleaning business to rank higher in the local searches. And the information that I'm presenting here today is actually just a small part of the Marketing Catalyst program, which is a program designed to help you improve and systematize your marketing. So we are actually currently working with 8 cleaning business owners that are moving their way through the program. So I'm excited to share this part of the program with you. And in case you're wondering, we will be sending you an email after the program is over. I think it comes the day after, and you're going to get that email with a link to download a copy of this presentation. So you're going to see several links in here. All the links and everything that you're going to see here today is going to be in that PDF document. So watch for that follow-up email so that you can have a copy of this presentation. And be sure to stay with us through the Q&A at the end. Some of you have sent in some questions ahead of time, and we've got some really great questions, and I'll be answering those. If you have any questions during the program, go ahead and type those into the chat box, and then we'll try and get to those as well. The presentation itself is not going to go a full hour. We're here on a Saturday morning, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to join me for this today. We're going to get through the session, then we're going to do the question and answer and get you out of here in good time. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the search engines have become one of the primary ways that people find local products and services. In fact, there was a study done that shows that nearly all consumers, 97%, are now using online media to shop locally. And this is a study that was done a couple years ago. So, I mean, 97% is a huge number of people. So business owners really need to face this reality and learn to master the local search game. Now, I'm going to tell you the bad news. Unfortunately, there is no magic formula for making this happen, because the fact is, getting your local business to show up high in the search results, it does take some work. And as you all know, this is a very competitive industry, and there is only so much available, or so much space available on the first page of search results. So the competition is really getting tough. And sometimes the logic that we use to rank higher isn't always reflected in where we find ourselves. And so that's the mystery of the search engines. They basically give us best practices, but they don't tell us the secrets of how they position businesses in the searches, okay? So today we're going to talk about the 6 areas that you should address in order to increase your chances of winning in the local search game. And I would recommend that you do these steps now before your competitors do. If you work through each section and apply a few action steps each day, you're gradually going to accomplish the entire list and put your business on its way to building a strong local search presence. Now, before I get started, I want to just show you the different parts of a search page so that we're all on the same page with the terminology, because there is a difference between the map and organic rankings. And some of you didn't really know what an organic ranking was. So we're going to show you what this all is about. So here is a layout that I did for a search in Google for home cleaning services in Maple Grove, Minnesota. So you'll notice that the pay-per-click ads are at the top and right positions on the page. So these yellow ad buttons, those are pay-per-click ads, and then all these down here are pay-per-click ads. So those people are paying for that position. Then there's the organic search results right under the pay-per-click ads on top. So these 3 search results right here are organic search listings. Now, those organic search results are listings on search engine results pages that appear because of the relevance to the search terms used, which means that those organic search results are largely due to search engine optimizations done on these websites. So it just depends on what a person is searching for as to what shows up in the organic results. Then you'll notice in this search there are the 3 organic search results under the pay-per-click ads, and then the map results are shown under that. So down here at the bottom are the map results. If I had a shot of this entire page, you could actually see the rest of the organic search results shown underneath those map results. Sometimes the page will show the map results right under the pay-per-click ads, and sometimes it'll show it in the middle of the page like this one. So it'll kind of split up those organic search results. So it varies sometimes depending on the search that you do. Now, most of you, when you registered for this webinar, answered the questions that I asked. And there was two questions that I asked on the registration form. And the first question was, are you listed on the first page of results in the organic search? And 16% of you said yes, you are on the first page. So for those of you that are on the first page, great job. But 59% of you said no, and 17% didn't know, and 8% didn't know what you meant by organic search, which I think I just explained. But, you know, the other thing that really I didn't ask is, what are you searching for, right? So some of you said, yes, you're showing up on the first page of results in the organic search, but what terms are you searching for? So in this search that I did here, I searched for home cleaning services, Maple Grove, Minnesota. But if I had searched for residential cleaning services, Maple Grove, Minnesota, I would probably get some different results. Probably the map results might be very similar or the same, but the organic search results would likely change. And so it kind of depends on what you're searching for as to whether or not you are at the top of the search results for organic. So the second question was, are you on the first page of the map? And 42% of you said yes to that question, so that's good. That's a good percentage. 38% said no, and 20% of you didn't know if you're on the map. So that's telling me that a lot of you aren't really paying a whole lot of attention to your website and whether or not you're being found. Okay, so almost half of you are on the map, and about half either aren't or don't really know. So the first thing I want you to do, if you haven't done this yet, is to claim your Google Plus Local, Bing Places, and Yahoo Local pages. Most of you have probably already claimed your Google profile, but probably not on Bing and Yahoo. And by the way, Google wants your business on Google Plus now, so they've moved the local pages there. Okay, so now it's Google, instead of Google Places, it's Google Plus Local. Some of you may have found your business on the map and think that because it's there, it's been claimed. But that's not necessarily true. You need to actually make sure you go to these pages, the URLs that are on the page here, and actually claim your page if you haven't done that yet. Now, even though you might have claimed your Google Local profile, you may not have added company information, or maybe you have just very minimal information. And I'm going to be giving you some tips on that in just a minute. But if you have not yet claimed your location, go ahead and do that, and then Google is going to either text you, call you, or they'll mail you a postcard with some code that you have to enter online in order to prove that you're the owner of that business. And once you do that, then you've claimed your profile, okay? So that's going to be the most important thing that you need to do to get on the map. Once you've claimed these local search profiles, you then have the ability to add in all sorts of information about your business. So you'll be able to add in the categories of business that you fall under, a complete description of your services, the communities you serve, the keywords that they might use to find your business hours, graphics and photos, and you can even add videos. You want to make sure, it's really important to add a link to your website, and then if you've got social media pages, go ahead and add those. So there's all sorts of things that you can add to your profile. So for those of you that have already claimed your profiles, I would recommend you go back and look at it and make sure that you add in as much information as you can about your business, because all of this adds up to people finding your page on the map. But it's the search engines that actually decide which order to put everyone in. So the other feature on these local search profiles is the rate and review feature. Now, Google doesn't really talk a whole lot about it, but there is plenty of data to support the fact that having good reviews can help your placement in the list of local businesses. And you want to be on that first page of the map results because chances of being seen on the second page is going to go way down. Most people only look at the first page results. So try and encourage your clients to write reviews for your service, and the best time to do this is actually when they give you a testimonial. Ask them to do one more step and post it to your Google Places page. They do have to have their own Google account, so you might even want to take the time to show them how to do it if they don't know, especially if they're a local business themselves and you're a commercial cleaning business, because they should be doing the same thing. They should be getting reviews on for their business. So here's a search that I did for a residential cleaning service in Milwaukee. You'll notice that Maid Brigade is in the first position on the map results, and they have 13 Google reviews. Well, the rest of the sites either have no review or just 1 or 2 reviews. Now, some of you may do a search like this and find that some of the sites that have more reviews are actually in a lower position. So positioning is not completely based on the number of reviews you have, but it certainly does help. And as long as you're on that first page of map results, you're doing really good. On the right side is the Maid Brigade profile. So you can see that they have their address and contact information listed, as well as a listing of additional reviews on sites like Insider Pages and Judy's Book and Service Magic and Yellowbot.com. So there's all kinds of different review sites. So if you've got, if you've got more reviews on other sites, that can be added on here too. So that helps you out. So let's talk briefly about those review sites and how it can help your positioning. And that's number 2, is to claim your space on the review sites if you haven't yet done that. Reviews can carry a lot of weight, both with the search engines and with potential customers. So you really have to get serious about this aspect of local search, because it's not going away, unfortunately. I will say that the review sites tend to have a larger impact on business-to-consumer companies like residential cleaning services versus business-to-business companies like commercial cleaning services. A lot of people still in the commercial cleaning industry aren't necessarily going online looking at reviews, but if they see that you do have reviews, that may sway them a bit. So you still need to claim your space and monitor those reviews. So here are just a few additional places that you can claim your space on the review sites. Number 3 is to clean up your NAP. And NAP is the directory acronym for name, address, and phone. So when the search engine spiders see this information, it clearly tells that your business is local. But keep in mind that if your business has been around for a while, there's a good chance that some of your online address and phone data could be wrong. And this actually happened to one of my clients. She did some searching into some of these directory sites and found 2 different addresses and 2 different phone numbers listed for her business. Well, this was not helping her business at all in the rankings because there was conflicting information out there. I mean, if the search engines finds 2 different phone numbers, 2 different addresses, chances are they're going to think that's 2 different businesses, right? So that's not helping you. So check out these major data providers to ensure that your listing is complete and accurate, and be sure to add a link to your website because chances are they're going to have your name, address, and phone number, but they probably won't have a link to your website. So if they don't, make sure that you add a link to your website as well. Okay, number 4 is to make your web pages local friendly. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can get better organic search results. And the first step is to add local geographic content. So go through the pages on your website and make sure you have your address and phone number on every page because you never know how people are going to land on your site. It's not always going to be the home page. Sometimes they might come in through one of your services page. Sometimes they might find you through a blog post that you've written. So especially as you start adding more content, like for those of you that are thinking about writing a blog or that already do, you want to make sure that all your pages have your contact information available to them. And sometimes it's a matter of just putting it in the header of your website. If you've got your address and phone number up there, then it's going to show up on every page. But the other thing is it also helps the search engines as they spider your pages as well, because if they're always seeing your address and phone number, then they know that you belong to that particular community. You also want to think about adding maps or directions to your business on your site. You could have a specific page just for that, having a map and then giving some written directions on how to get to your office, as well as adding cities and suburbs that you serve. This is a question that several of you asked, and so you can do a couple of different things. You know, if you serve just a couple different areas, you can just mention those in your pages. But you could also create landing pages like the example that you see on the screen here. They've got you know, areas we serve, and this is in the Detroit area, and so they list all the different areas that they serve. This does work well for people in larger metropolitan areas, or if you serve several suburbs in an area or several small towns around your area. You could actually create pages for each of these local cities on your website that you serve. Just make sure that the content that you put on these pages is relevant. Don't just make one page and then clone it for each city and by just changing the city name. So find a way to change it up a little bit. Maybe you could feature a customer from that community and add a testimonial from that customer, and then have links to those pages using the city name like they did here. One area that some people neglect are internal links within their sites and links back to their site. So when we talk about internal links, instead of having a link to, say, carpet cleaning on a page, you could add text that says, link in Nebraska carpet cleaning, and then you link up that text to the web page within your site. Or in the examples you see here, they've got house cleaning services linked up to that page on their website, and then they have house cleaning estimate linked up to their quote page. So that's what we talk about with internal links. You've got actual hyperlinks linking to another page in your website. And as I said, if you can add in, you don't want to do it on every link, but if you could add in your location occasionally on some of these links, then that helps again with that location aspect of it. You never want to link up text to just a phrase like click here, because that doesn't help the search engines understand what the page is about. So when you're linking up a page to text within your site, make sure that you're using keywords in that link. Okay. The second example in the box down here with the bullets, this is some links that a commercial cleaning business had on their website, and these are the types of facilities that they serve. So they have a page for office buildings and a page for schools and one for medical facilities and industrial facilities. So that's another way to do that. So this also applies to external links, or people that are linking to your site. You don't have to have them just link to your website. When they go to link to your website, you might want to give them a little instruction, because a lot of people will just put like abccleaning.com and link that up. Instead, ask them to create text like ABC Cleaning, Lincoln's premier commercial cleaning company. That not only tells the prospect who you are and what you do, but it tells the search engines exactly what you do and where you're located. So they're going to be a lot more likely to rank you higher when they see your website linked up to keywords and location like that. So in this example, this is just a snippet from a website where they had some reciprocal links. And you'll notice it's a little bit hard to see here, but the blue text here is actually a hyperlink. And you'll notice the website here is not even linked up, but they list it in case somebody wants to, copy and paste it into their web browser. But if they would click, this is clickable right here. Northwestern Indiana Janitorial Service, Michigan City Office Cleaning. Lots of keywords there. They also link up to Debbie Sardone's site on this page, so Buckets and Bows, but what they're linking to is house cleaning, maid service, Flower Mound, Louisville. Okay, so she's got house cleaning is a keyword phrase, maid service is a keyword phrase, Flower Mound is the one of the cities where their office is, and Louisville is another city where they provide services. So 4 different keywords there. So that's what you want to do when you get other people to link to you. Okay. Another thing that may sound a little odd, but you might want to think about being a community resource. It's actually a great way to add local content to your website. So you could add a calendar of events page of things happening in your community, or you could add a list of local networking events. Maybe if you're a commercial cleaner, you do a lot of networking. You could list those local events. One option is to either make this a separate page on your website, or you could just add it to blog posts. So it doesn't necessarily have to, if you create it as a web page, it doesn't necessarily have to relate to your core business, okay? It's just like a calendar of events page for your community. Now, in some cases, just writing blog posts about what's going on in your town can actually help with the local search too. So it's kind of up to you as to how you would want to do it. The net effect is that you're going to improve your local search results by creating content that offers value to the local readers. And this is just the kind of information that the search engines love. So this is just a snippet that I took off of someone's blog, and they had links to a bazaar and links to a 4th Annual Walk to Remember. That's an Alzheimer's walk that was going on, and an art class on Saturday morning. So becoming that community resource is something that helps to make your website more local friendly. Okay, so moving on to number 5, keywords in titles and descriptions. And I'll tell you that this is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. This is one of the first things I notice when I go to people's websites. And I go to a lot of cleaning company websites, as you can imagine. So a lot of people are missing this important piece of the local search puzzle. You have to have a way to get into your website to edit your titles and descriptions. If you don't know how to do this yourself on your own website, then ask the person that maintains your website if either they can do it or if they can show you how to do it. I prefer you knowing how to do it yourself, just so that if you need to, you can make a change on the fly. Notice in the first screenshot, their home page just says home. The red arrow here is pointing up here, and this is the top of the browser window, and it just says home. Well, what does home tell the search engines about that business? It tells them absolutely nothing. Let me give you an example of something that just happened about a week ago. I had a client who told me that his organic search ranking had dropped off the first page. Well, when I went to his site, I noticed that the title on his home page was commercial cleaning and cleaning services along with his city and state. Now, he does do some commercial cleaning in his business, but his core business is residential cleaning, and the word made is in his business name. So I suggested that he change the title to something that makes a little more sense for a residential cleaning company using the right keywords. He did make that change, and a week later he emailed me to let me know that he was back on the first page of the organic results. Now, I can't guarantee that making just one little change like that will make such a big difference, but for him, you know, it did make a difference because very quickly he was back in that organic search. But, you know, you have to think carefully about what the title of each page of your website is going to be. And if you look at the second example here, we've got tile and grout cleaning. Now, that's a little better. At least it tells what the page is about. It's tile and grout cleaning. However, it doesn't give the location. So, you know, I'm sure if this person is in New Jersey and somebody in California finds a site, he really doesn't care because he can't help that person. So you have to make sure that you add your city and state in there. Tile and grout cleaning in, you know, Orlando, Florida, okay? So make sure that you think about the titles that you're going to give each page of your website. And that's the other thing, is that this isn't just for the home page of your website. It's for every page that you create. So every time you create a new page, that has to be part of what you're doing, is at the time that you're writing the content or putting the content out there, make sure that you also address the title and description. So this business has a title of Orlando, Florida, Commercial Cleaning and Janitorial Services, okay? That's a good title. You've got the city and state, and that's something else that I see a lot of people missing, is they'll just put their city. Well, let me tell you that there's a lot of Madisons in the U.S. and there's a few Arcadias in the U.S. So, I mean, that tells you the city, but it doesn't tell you the state they're in. So make sure you include both. And then they've got commercial cleaning, which is a keyword phrase, and janitorial services, because you don't know, are people searching for commercial cleaning in Orlando, or are they searching for janitorial services in Orlando? So make sure that you're thinking about the right keyword phrases to use in that. Okay, so you'll also notice in this lower graphic that the title is what you see here in the search results. So this title that's up here on the website is what you see down here, Orlando, Florida, Commercial Cleaning and Janitorial Services. and then below the title is the description. And you'll want to make sure that you add a good description to your website tags as well, again, using keywords and location. This is more like a sentence, a brief sentence or two that you write about your business. You don't actually see this description on your website, but it does show up in the search results. Okay, so that's kind of a behind-the-scenes sort of tool that you can use whenever you're creating your website pages. Okay, so number 6 is search engine optimization, or SEO. Now, as I just mentioned, the titles and descriptions that we just talked about are actually part of SEO, but I wanted to talk about them separately because it's that behind-the-scenes type of search engine optimization. And what I want to talk about with the analogy of the SEO cupcake has to do with your website content. Okay, so here's the analogy of using the SEO cupcake. Just like the cupcake wrapper, content is your foundation, but you have to reinforce that foundation with keywords. And like the ingredients that make up the cupcake, keywords are the ingredients that make up the content. Next, if you want to be found and to be found more often, you have to have links. The more links you have going to your website, the better it gets, just like the cupcake gets more tasty with the frosting. The cherry on top makes the whole thing come together, and this is the social aspect of sharing your content on social sites. These sites are the driver that points everything back to your site and helps your website to be found. So using that cupcake example, it kind of helps you to understand the relationship between all these elements in the hierarchy. So this explains how search engine optimization all starts with content. So your content is developed with keywords, and then you'll have the links going back to your site, and then you top it all off with your social media strategy. So all of these things have to work together. You can't just do one thing here and there. You have to come up with a strategy that makes it all work together. So I want to talk a little bit about website content. And let me tell you that this is an entire webinar in itself, so I can't really talk in depth about it, but I do want to talk about it because when you have a website, you can't just let it sit there. You have to keep it fresh to keep the search engines coming back. So let me explain how it works. Let's say you actually have a new website. Well, when the search engines find your website and they visit it, it's going to scroll through and index your pages. Well, then it's going to come back in maybe a week or so to see if anything has changed. If nothing has changed, it's going to push it out. It's going to say, well, let's come back in a couple of weeks. Well, if nothing has changed in 2 weeks, then it's probably not going to come back for a month, and so on. And so if you're not changing content, if you're not updating your website on a regular basis, the search engines won't visit and index your site, and it's going to have a greater chance that your website is going to continue to decline in the rankings. Okay, so if some of you have been declining in the rankings and you know you haven't been updating your website, there's a good chance that that has something to do with it. So creating content is very important to your search engine results. Now, that's the part that really scares people because the thought of writing content is pretty overwhelming. But content doesn't have to mean just articles. There are all different types of content that you can create. So let's just run through some of these. Obviously, articles and blog posts, how-to tips and things like that is a big part of writing content and perfect for the cleaning industry. I mean, how many different how-to cleaning tips can you write? I mean, there's tons of them. You could also talk about any industry news. You could talk about events that are happening in your community. That goes back to that calendar of events. You could post interesting facts. You could have product reviews, some of the cleaning chemicals that you use maybe, or some new piece of equipment that you used. A lot of people are changing the different types of vacuums and features with HEPA features and backpack vacuums. You could write about those different pieces of equipment that you use. You could have sales and promotions. You can add photos and videos. Photos and videos are also considered content. So if you're doing YouTube videos, adding those to your sites and having, you know, actually writing a little bit of text about that video below it would be great. And photos can also be optimized with keywords. So you want to put descriptions in on your photos. You could have contests. You could list different resources, maybe different types of businesses in your community that would also be helpful to your client base. Company news would be big. Any kind of company news that you have about your own company and about the employees that work in your company. And of course, testimonials are content for your website, whether it's written, audio, or video testimonials. Now, as I said, content creation is basically a webinar in and of itself, but I do want to talk about how to approach content when it comes to thinking about how people are going to find your website. Because when you use keyword phrases to create the content, that's how people will actually find your content when they're searching online. Because remember, I said people aren't always going to find you on the first page of your website or your home page of your website. They may be searching for other things, and they're going to find your website in that way. So you always have to be thinking about keywords and keyword phrases. So when you do start writing articles or blog posts, be sure to keep in mind those keywords that people will be searching for. So let me give you a couple examples. Now, the first one is a bad example, how to reduce exposure to the flu. Now, that's actually a pretty good title because a lot of people search for that phrase, how to reduce exposure to the flu. But how is that going to lead them to your site? Because that's going to be a hugely competitive phrase to try and rank high for. So a better way to phrase that would be something like how your commercial cleaning services or how your commercial cleaning service can reduce your employees' exposure to the flu. Okay, so now we've added in commercial cleaning service and reducing employees' exposure to the flu. So this type of article would be targeted to commercial cleaning business owners or managers that might be looking for that, or employers that hire commercial cleaning services. So the second example, your office phone may be making you sick. Again, it's not a bad title because it's something that people are familiar with these days with all the publicity about that. However, you could make it better. What your cleaning company can do to improve office hygiene. So you could take the entire phrase is a little bit long. You might be able to condense that down a little bit, but your office phone may be making you sick. What your cleaning company can do to improve office hygiene. Okay, so again, be thinking about keywords when you're thinking about writing content for your website and how people might be able to find you. You may also want to include your location in some of your blog posts. I wouldn't do it in all of them, but I would mix it up a little bit and add your location. So, for example, your office phone may be making you sick. What your Omaha cleaning company can do to improve office hygiene. Okay, so now you've added your city in there. And don't say something like what we can do to improve office hygiene, okay, because you're not using keywords in that sentence or in that example. So instead of saying what we can do, say what your Omaha office cleaning company can do or something like that. So these are what's called long-tail keyword phrases. More and more people are using these longer phrases when searching for answers online. So you want to be thinking about the type of information that people may be searching for locally so you can provide them with those answers. The other thing that's really great about that is it's going to help position you as an expert in your field. So the more types of articles like this that you can do, the more you're going to feel like an expert and the more confidence you're going to have. And then I'm just going to give you one more example. I saw a blog from a commercial janitorial company, and the title of their article was, "Is This Killing Your Business?" Now, that title, it does create some curiosity, and people might read it just because they're curious about the title, but it really doesn't do anything for your search results. So a better choice would be, "Is poor commercial office cleaning killing your business?" And that's really what the article was about. So again, think keywords. Okay, so I wanted to give you some additional resources, and one of those is Google Webmaster Tools. And this is really a great site. They've got a lot of information, and for those of you who are more do-it-yourselfers and really want to learn the ins and outs, this is a great place to go. They do give you a lot of best practices on how to be found within Google. One of the questions I got was about putting in an SEO plugin. So one of you asked if you should use an SEO plugin. Now, if you have a WordPress site, that's where the WordPress sites take plugins. So it adds some additional functionality to the site. A lot of plugins are free. And when I went to search for this plugin, I found a cost of $69, but I could have sworn that I was able to add this plugin to my last WordPress site for free. So you might want to check that out. You can actually do a search within your WordPress control panel for plugins, and you could search for this one and see if you can get it for free. Otherwise, it's worth paying the $69. And I'm going to show you some examples here in just a minute of what exactly that plugin can do for your search engine optimization. And then as we were talking about content, I was talking about keywords a lot. And sometimes it will help you to do keyword research with your phrases to find the best phrases to add to your pages and to create your content and get some ideas. Sometimes we just kind of get stuck because we don't know what to write about. So Google has a keyword tool. They've changed it a little bit. It's not quite as good as it used to be. Of course, you know, everybody makes things a little bit harder. They want you to pay for things, but it still is a very useful tool, so you might want to try that. So I mentioned this Yoast plugin, and I want to show you exactly what that looks like in a WordPress site. So this is within my site, Marketing Systems by Design, and this is within the page I created. This is a section of that page behind the scenes. Okay, so you've got different tabs here, and this is the General tab. This is showing a snippet preview. So this is showing what it actually looks like in the search results. Okay, so this is video, your core difference. Do you know what makes your business different? Now, you're going to see I'm going to go to page analysis in just a minute, but obviously this title is a little bit long. And some of the examples I gave you might have been a little bit long. So that's something that this plugin will actually tell you. If you're, it's going to tell you if your title is a little too long. So I probably need to adjust that one. Okay, and then it shows you this is the description below there. Okay, so then you enter a focus keyword. What's your primary keyword that you want to focus on for that title? So I entered core difference. And this is going to tell you your focus keyword was found in the article heading, in the page title, in the page URL, in the content, and in the description. So I got green yeses on all of those, so that's good. If it wasn't in the page title, you'd have a red no there. And that's a flag. Oh, I forgot to put that in the title. So you know, this is a great tool to really help you focus in on how to use keywords to be found in a good way. The SEO title, again, remember I said this was kind of cut off, and that's what this is telling me here. It's saying title display in search engines is limited to 70 characters. So I'm over that. So I would want to think about shortening that up a little bit. Okay. Now that's on the General tab, and I'm going to show you the page analysis. Okay, so here's a page analysis of the entire page. And you'll see a red dot, a couple orange, some yellow, and some green. So it's these colors right here, the red, orange, and yellow, those are giving me some tips on things that could be better. So this is the first one is saying there's no images. Images, they want you to have images on your pages, and then not just the images, but you have to actually add a description using keywords to your images. I didn't have images on this page because this is a video. I didn't really think I needed images with a video. It's also saying that the keyword density is a little bit low. The slug for this page is a bit long. Consider shortening it. And what they're talking about there, let me just back up a minute. Okay, so this is the URL, and the slug is this part right here. They're saying that's a little bit long. So you can actually edit the link, you know, the name of your page a little bit. So maybe I'd take out the word video and just put core difference makes business unique and take out the word no. So you can edit that to however you want it to be. You just don't want it to be too long, and that's what that was telling me. The page title contains the keyword phrase, but it does not appear at the beginning. Try and move it to the beginning. So another great tip. You want, you know, it's telling you to rethink your titles and how to make them better so that they're going to be found in your search. No outbound links appear on this page. Consider adding some as appropriate. The page title contains, you know, too long again in the page title. No subheading tags like H2 appear in the copy, so that's something else that can help your search engine optimization, is they call them heading tags. So, and then here's all the green things, the good things. So obviously this page, I could improve it to make it found even better. So for that person that asked about the plugin, absolutely I would recommend this if you have a WordPress site. And it's another reason that I really recommend WordPress sites as one way to create a website, because they've got some really great tools. Okay, so hopefully this has given you several ideas on what to think about when it comes to being found in the local searches, and it's given you some action items to do. These are the 6 steps, and don't go away yet because we have time for some questions. But this is just kind of a recap of what we talked about. Build out your local search profiles, claim your space on the review sites, clean up your NAP, make your website pages local friendly, keywords and titles and descriptions, and search engine optimization, the SEO cupcake. Okay, so before we get to the questions, I just wanted to let you know that the information that I just shared with you is actually just a small part of the section, of one of the sections of the Marketing Catalyst program that I teach. And we are actually starting a new coaching group on Monday, May 19th. Some of the information that we covered today is in session 6, Dominate Local Search. And we have 10 sessions all together. And it starts out with strategy. We go into creating your marketing hourglass. If you've seen some of my marketing hourglass videos, this is a really popular piece, and it helps people really fill in the gaps of their marketing. We talk about creating a total customer experience. I talked a little bit about content today, and this goes into an entire content building plan, creating a total web presence. We get into lead generation, lead conversion, and keeping score has to do with tracking and using a marketing calendar. So the group is limited to 8 people. We have the 10 coaching sessions, which I just showed you, but we also have added in 10 homework review sessions. So we will be meeting every other week, and so we will alternate with a coaching session and then a homework review session, because we found that people wanted more time for feedback with their homework. And so this gives you a whole hour to pick my brain and Steve's brain on what you're working on, what your homework is, and what you're struggling with, and how we can help you. So we give you all kinds of time to work through this program as we go through it. The other thing that I love about this program is that you get unlimited access to an online portal. It's a duct tape marketing online portal. And for every session, there are videos directly from John Jantz. There's audios from John. There are downloadable workbooks that have got tons of information and resources. We give you unlimited email support between sessions as well, besides the meetings. And the meetings are in this format, a webinar type format. We will set up a private Facebook group, which is something new, and the first 4 people to sign up are going to get John Jansen's book, Duct Tape Marketing. And so again, we start May 19th, and one more thing is just about the investment involved. Now, this is obviously a significant investment. We have one payment of $11.97, which is a $200 savings over the payments. The second option is to make a payment of $497 and then 9 monthly payments of $100. Now, if you sign up by Friday, May 2nd, I'm going to discount that price by $200. So the one payment would be $997. And if you went the payment route, I would drop off the last 2 payments. Okay. This page here, marketingsystemsbydesign.com/?P=113. That is the page for the Marketing Catalyst on my website, and that's going to give you a lot more detailed information. But I know that a lot of you probably have questions, and so what I'm going to do is have a Q&A call on next Wednesday, May 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and here's the phone number and the code to call. So if you're thinking about it, but you're not quite sure, you want to learn more about what the program is all about, you can either email me, you can call me at the number you see on the screen here, or you can join us for this Q&A call. And I'll be happy to answer questions that you have, take you inside the program a little bit so you can get a little bit more information about what it involves. Okay? All right, so let's get to the questions, and I'm going to start out first of all, by answering the questions that people send in ahead of time. And Steve, if it's okay with you, I'm going to unmute you just in case you have something to add to what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yep.
I've gotcha. And let me I want to pop open my question box here. Okay, so if you have questions, you can post them in the box and we will get to those shortly. So the first question that I got was, how can I get my company into the top 3? Well, that's the magic question, isn't it? It's very difficult, and one of the things that I do want to say, because I know that some of you work with SEO companies or someone that's going to help that says they can help you get ranked higher, be cautious if they make guarantees. I can get you into the top 3 consistently, or I can get you, into the first place, because no one can make that kind of guarantee. I would suggest that if you can do a lot of these things here that we talked about, and then once you get through some of the technical parts in the beginning, and then you start working on your content, that's what's going to help you get found more. You can hire someone to help you with some of these things, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that are more do-it-yourselfers and they want to be able to do this all themselves. But if you're not that kind of a person, then you may need to hire someone that's more experienced than you are. But there has to be a lot of communication. The example that I gave you with the commercial services in the title, I mean, that's something that their SEO company should have caught. So, all right, so how to find the local traffic. And Steve, I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure if that's coming from your end or what. Okay, so one person just put how to find local traffic. Well, what we talked about today is what you can do with your website and with your listings. And that's going to help the local traffic find you. The other thing is that, and we didn't really talk about this, but one of the things that you need to do is not just be sitting at your desk, but I believe you still need to get out there and network. And we didn't talk a whole lot about the social aspect of it, and Facebook and LinkedIn and all of those things, but that has a lot to do with it as well, because what I found is that the people who are out there in their community, they're building relationships with people, and suddenly they're connecting with them online in their social media, and that is also helping to direct people to your website. So focus on the networking, focus on all the 6 steps that we talked about today, focus on keywords and your content, and all these things eventually add up to more and more people being found. There is no quick and easy answer to this. It all is things that take time. Okay. One person asked, what keywords are key for commercial and industrial janitorial companies? Well, you used a few of them there, and I gave a couple examples. You've got janitorial services, commercial cleaning services. You want to be using those types of phrases. One of the things and one of the exercises that we do in the Marketing Catalyst program is we have you, or we do this for you, contact your clients. And we're asking them several very targeted questions. And one of the questions that we actually ask your clients is, if you were going to search for a cleaning company today, what would you search for? What would you put into the search box? And that's a great way to find out what kind of keywords you should be using, because they're going to tell you exactly what they'd be searching for. Okay. How do I get noticed and get calls for business? Well, that's actually a whole nother webinar, because it's one thing to get ranked high in the listings. It's another to get people to actually call you. When people go to your website, let's say that you're on the first page and you're on the top, or you're at the top of the map, and they click through to your website. You know what? You've only got a few seconds to get their attention. And if you aren't capturing their attention, they're going to go away to the next site. And so that has to do a lot less with what we've just talked about today, and more about really knowing who your target audience is and what's important to them, and why you are different and better than your competition. And so saying the same old things like we provide quality cleaning services and, you know, all those things that we're bonded and licensed and insured, everybody says that stuff, and you're not saying anything that they haven't seen before. And so that is not what's going to get you noticed and what's going to get people to pick up the phone. So, and that's a part of the program that we focus on for the first 2 sessions, is really figuring out who your target market is truly, and what's important to them and what your core difference is. And that's how you're going to get noticed and get calls for your business.
So, Gene, I just wanted to add that another one that you see a lot of is that we green clean, or we're a green cleaning service. Again, that really doesn't differentiate you from any other service out there, because green cleaning is actually the standard today. Everybody should be green cleaning.
Yeah, that's right. It used to be a differentiator, but it's really tough. And that, again, we go into that a lot in the program, and to explain how you can turn that into a differentiator for your business. But that's not really the topic of today. So, okay, so how to do it on a tight budget. And obviously that's another question that people are concerned about their budget. A lot of the things that I talked about today are things that you can do yourself. And so if the budget is very tight and you can't afford to pay someone to make these changes to your website or to claim your spaces, that's something that you're just going to have to make the time to do. Or maybe somebody in your family is a little more technically savvy than you are, then have someone in your family do it for you. But that's one way to do it on a tight budget, is to do a lot of those things. Now, when it gets into content creation and you don't feel like that's one of your strengths, well, then that's something else that we talk a lot about in the program, is content, and there's all sorts of ways to make that happen. So.
Yeah, and that's why it's important for you, if you're having a website developed for you, make sure that you can make those changes yourself rather than having the creator of your website do that service and charge you nickel and dime you for everything that they change or add to your website.
Another person asked, what is the best way to advertise through the web? That really needs to be part of your overall strategy. And Google's pay-per-click is probably, if you're gonna spend money on advertising on the internet, that is probably the top way to do it, but you can really quickly spend a lot of money if you're not careful. So the key there is really to set a budget, because that's what you do when you set up a pay-per-click account. You're going to set up a budget and make sure that you stick to that budget, but then don't just set up an ad and then leave it, because a lot of people find that they're just spending all this money on clicks and they're not getting any return, and nobody's really buying. And so sometimes it's a matter of just tweaking your ad a little bit. Sometimes just changing 1 or 2 words can make all the difference. The other thing with that is when you advertise, and again, we're starting to get into advertising, which is a whole part of the Marketing Catalyst program that we talk about on how to get the most bang for your buck when it comes to advertising. And creating a landing page for your pay-per-click ads is important as well, because you have to have some way to track what's happening once they click over to your site. Just sending them to your home page, it's going to be really hard for you to know if the people that clicked on your ad actually picked up the phone and called you. And of course, you can ask them that question, but you're not always going to find that out. Let's see. How much will it cost to stay on page 1 of Google? Well, again, there's no guarantees that someone can keep you on the first page, but SEO companies, they can charge all over the board. I mean, they might charge you $100 a month. Some people I know are paying $500 a month or more. So again, it kind of goes back to what you feel like you can do yourself. I think a lot of people can do a lot by themselves, but some of us that are running a business just don't have the time for it, so you have to start talking to people and finding out what it's going to cost. The other thing is that some of you may have some part-time employees that are really savvy at this stuff. Start talking to your employees and find out what they know, because sometimes you can get some really good talent with your own staff. Let's see. What are the activities that give you the most bang for your buck? Well, I would just start with everything that I talked about today, those 6 steps. First, concentrate on that, and then the next thing to concentrate on is the content. If you don't have a blog yet on your site, I highly recommend that you add a blog and start adding to it regularly, because that's one of the ways, again, that you've got to keep updating your websites to keep those search engines coming back and indexing content on your site, or otherwise you're going to just continue to drop in the rankings. Let's see. And one person asked, how often do we need to update our website? You know, that I would try to at least do once a week. So, and a lot of people that write blogs will say, oh, you need to be blogging every day or 3 or 4 times a week. And honestly, I used to do that when I first got started, and if you're just getting started, it is good to blog more often, but then I've kind of cut back because I've got so much content between all my different sites that I try and shoot for, you know, once a week at least to have some kind of new content. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the questions that you guys are asking right now, and Ray just shared a tool. This is a great keyword tracking tool. You can track up to 50 keywords for free. I think, if I'm reading that right, it's kind of small. It's semalt, semalt.com. Is that right, Ray? semalt.com. That's one that I hadn't heard of, so thank you for that. All right, now that I'm publishing blogs on a consistent basis, what do I do with our Facebook fan page as far as the blog is concerned? How do I tie our Facebook page back to the blog? Well, what I do is I put out on my Facebook page links back to the blog, but what we've started doing is not just put the link there, but to actually put a comment about that blog. And you can either do that directly on your Facebook page, or if you have that plugin called Sociable, which has all the different links like the Facebook icon and the Twitter icon and LinkedIn and all those little buttons that you see underneath blog posts, you can actually just go on your own site and share it that way. And a little thing is going to pop up, and it'll allow you to make a comment about this blog post. So I would just make some kind of a comment that entices people to want to read it rather than just putting the link there. So the idea is that hopefully if you're out there networking like I was talking about earlier, and this is what I found to be true for myself, because I have started networking locally, and it really I really like that now that I've networked with people, as soon as I get back from an event, I go, if I'm not connected to them, I will connect with them right away on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. And pretty soon they start, they'll start seeing my posts. I start liking their page, they like my page, and then you start the interaction. And so that's what's really going to get traffic going on your social media pages as well. Because a lot of people get frustrated. They're like, well, I post something and nobody responds. Well, you don't really have any relationships out there with people, and you need to do something that's going to entice them to want to take a look at what you're putting out there. One person asked if pay-per-click is a way to go, which we just talked a little bit about pay-per-click. It's an option. It's just, I would really focus first on what we talked about today, and then see where that puts you in a few weeks with your positioning on the search engines. And then, you can get into pay-per-click slowly. I just make sure you start slow and make sure you start with a low budget until you really feel comfortable with it. Or if you don't feel comfortable at all with it, there are people out there that will help you with it. But again, you got to be careful with who you get to help. I had someone do a pay-per-click campaign for me a couple years ago, and I did better when I did it myself. So that taught me a lesson. Okay, another question. I don't have the skills to develop quality content. I'm fine doing updates, changing things around, maintaining the site. What type of service can I hire to write my core content and white paper marketing material? So yeah, again, that's we do 2 entire classes on this, but there are places out there that if you need to hire someone to write for you, there are sites out there. I mean, you can just go to Elance. and Odesk are two places where you can get all kinds of talent that do everything from graphics to doing websites to writing. And so the key with finding people to write for you is to give them as much direction as you possibly can. I would do either some kind of an outline or at the very least bullet points of what the topic is about and what you want included in that article. Don't just give them a topic on, you know, a very general title and then expect them to come up with the article, because you're probably going to be disappointed in what they come back with. But if you give them some good instructions on the specific points that you want covered, then you're going to be happier. And there might be a little bit of back and forth. And what I've found is that I usually, well, for me, I do most of my own content, but we have started using some writers for certain projects. And what I found is that usually it goes back and forth a couple of times, and then I do the final run through and I do the final version to make sure it's exactly what I want. And someone asked if we know someone who writes content specific for the cleaning industry. Yeah, well, that's tough. It's really hard to find someone that's very specific, because a lot of people that write specifically for the cleaning industry are writing for the magazines and the you know, the associations. So I would, you know, I would go to some of the sites. Trying to remember a couple of the other ones. iWriter is one. iWriter.com is one that I've just started trying out a little bit. Most of these sites are not specific to the cleaning industry, but you might find someone that has written some cleaning articles. You can check out people's writing. A lot of these sites will actually give you samples of their writing, and I would definitely look at people's writing samples, because some people, you want to have somebody that's going to write in the style that you like as well. So there's some research involved with it, and there's, you know, it's not something that you can just say, well, write this, this, and this, and expect perfect results. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? We're just at the top of the hour, so. All right. No other questions for right now, so I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to join us on a Saturday morning. I don't usually do these on Saturdays, but I thought we would try that, and we got a really good response from people, so we may do more of these on Saturdays when people aren't necessarily having to worry about getting the work done today. So I'd love to invite you to join me on the call Wednesday, May 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern, and I've got the other time zones listed here. The phone number is 218-862-7200, and the code is 704072. Or if you'd like to talk to me personally, you feel free to call the number on the screen here, and I will be happy to talk to you either by phone or email as well. So thanks, everyone. I appreciate your taking the time to join us today.